As suggested before, you should make copies of the blank forms and carry on with you at all times for at least the next week. Here is a brief outline of the process, followed by detailed instructions for how to use the form. Select a hard thought. Identify evidence that supports your hard thought. Uncover evidence against your hard thought. Write your balanced or alternative thoughts. Rate your mood again. Record and save alternative thoughts. Practice your balanced thoughts. And finally, develop an action plan. Let's discuss the point at number 1 position. Select a hard thought. Return to your thought journal to select a hard thought from your record of automatic thoughts. Choose several thoughts that had a major impact on your mood because of either their power or their frequency. Rate how strongly each thought contributed to your painful feelings using a scale of 0 to 100, in which 100 indicates that the thought was solely responsible for your feelings. Circle the thought with the highest score. That is the one you will work on now. To help illustrate this approach, we will take some examples from George, a representative for a large printing company whose customers are mostly publishers and advertising companies. When George rated all of his automatic thoughts using the scale of 0 to 100, I am a first-class failure turned out to be his hottest thought by far. By itself, the thought could hit George hard enough to stir up strong feelings of inadequacy and depression. Identify evidence for. Once you have identified your hard thought, record it on your downloaded thought and evidence journal, including your rating of the feeling and associated thoughts. Then write down the experiences and facts that seem to support your hard thought. This is not the place to put your feelings, impressions, assumptions about the reactions of others or unsupported beliefs. In the evidence for column, stay with the objective facts. Confine yourself to exactly what was said, what was done, how many times, and so on. While it is important to stick with the facts, it is also important to acknowledge all of the past and present evidence that supports and verifies your hard thoughts. George identified 5 pieces of evidence that seemed to support the hard thought, which is I am a first-class failure. Here is what he wrote in his evidence for column. Only $24,000 sale for December. Could not close that big account when they seemed almost ready to give me the contract. Boss asked if I had any problems. This is the 3rd time in 12 months I have been below $30,000 in sales in 1 month. Had a disagreement with Ron and he pulled his job. Notice that George does not talk about conjectures, assumptions, or feelings that he's doing a bad job. He confines himself to the facts and an objective description of events. Number 3, uncover evidence against. Coming up with evidence against your hard thought will probably be the hardest part of the technique. It is easy to think of things that support your hard thought, but you are likely to draw a blank when it is time to explore evidence against it, and you may need some help. To assist you in the search for evidence against your hard thought, there are 10 key questions you need to ask. Go through all the 10 questions for every hard thought you are analyzing. Each will help you explore new ways of thinking. Number 1, is there an alternative interpretation of the situation other than your hard thought? Number 2, is the hard thought really accurate or is it an overgeneralization? In George's case, do low sales figures in December necessarily mean that he is a failure? Number 3, are there exceptions to the generalizations made by your hard thought? Number 4, are there balancing realities that might often soften negative aspects of the situation? In George's case, are there other things besides sales that he can feel good about in his job? Number 5, what are the more probable consequences and outcomes of the situation? This question helps you differentiate what you fear might happen from what you can reasonably expect will happen. Number 6, Are there experiences from your past that would lead you to a conclusion other than your heart thought? Number 7. Are there objective facts that would contradict items in the evidence for column? Is it really true, for example, that George lost that big contract because he was a failure as a salesman? Number 8. What are the real odds that what you fear will actually occur? Think like a bookie. Are the odds 1 in 2, 1 in 50, 1 in 1000, 1 in 500,000? Consider all the people right now in this same situation. How many of them will end up facing the catastrophic outcome you fear most? Number 9. Do you have the social or problem solving skills to handle the situation differently? Number 10. Could you create a plan to change the situation? Perhaps there is someone you know who might deal with this differently. What would that person do? On a separate piece of paper, write your answers to all the questions relevant to your heart thoughts. It may take some thinking too, like, for example, find exceptions to the generalization created by your heart thought. For example, objectively evaluate the odds of something catastrophic happening. For example, recall balancing realities that can give you confidence and hope in the face of problems. Do not be tempted to take shortcuts or rush through this step in the evidence gathering process. The work you put in is key in developing the ability to challenge hard thoughts. Here is what George's process looked like. George spent more than half an hour answering the 10 questions. They helped him come up with these statements for the evidence against column. Number 1. December is normally a low month. That might explain most of my drop-offs in sales. Question 1. For the question 2, to be accurate, for the year overall, I ranked 4th of the 9 representatives. That's not great, but it's not being a failure. For the question number 3, George wrote, some months have been good. I did $68,000 in August and $64,000 sales in March. In answer to question 4, George found out that I have good relationships with my customers. In some cases, I have really helped them with major decisions. Most know they can trust me as an advisor. To question 5, he answered, my sales are good enough at number 4 in the company that they would not fire me. Number 6, he answered, 5 years ago, I was ranked number 2, and I'm always in the top half of the pack. Over the years, there have been a lot of months when I got the Best Salesman Award. Answer to number 7 question, he wrote, I was just outbid on that big account. It was not my fault. To question number 7, he found out that Ron said he wanted recycled paper and pulled the job when he did not like the price. That's not my fault. To the question 10, he found the answer. I need to think more about my relationship with each customer and less about the dollar worth of each contract. For experience, I know that works better for me. George found it particularly useful to look for objective facts that either counterbalanced or contradicted each item in the evidence for column. He kept asking himself, what in my experience balances out this piece of evidence? And what objective facts contradict this piece of evidence? George was surprised at how much he discovered to write in the evidence against column. This helped him realize that he tended to shut a lot of things out of his awareness when he was feeling depressed. Now, talking about the number 4 topic, which is right balanced alternatives. Now it is time to synthesize everything you have learned in both the evidence for and evidence against columns. Read over both columns slowly and carefully. Do not try to deny or ignore evidence on either side. Then write new balanced thoughts that incorporate what you learned as you gathered the evidence. In your balanced thoughts, it's okay to acknowledge important items in the evidence for column, but it is equally important to summarize the main things you learned in the evidence against column. Here is what George wrote in the balanced or alternative thoughts column in his thought and evidence journal. George wrote, my sales are down and I have lost 2 deals, but I have a solid sales record over the years and have had a lot of good months. I just need to focus on my customer relationships and not the money. Notice that George did not ignore or deny that sales were down, but he was able to use items from his evidence against column to develop a clear, balanced statement that acknowledged his track record as a competent salesman. Synthesizing statements do not have to be long, but they do need to summarize the main points on both sides of the question. Do not hesitate to rewrite your new balanced thought several times until the statement feels strong and convincing. When you're satisfied with the accuracy of what you have written, rate your belief in this new balanced thought as a percentage ranging from 0 to 100. George rated his belief in his new balanced thought at 85%. If you do not believe your new thought more than 60%, you should revise it further, perhaps incorporating more items from the evidence against column. It is also possible that the evidence you have gathered isn't yet convincing enough, so you need to develop more ideas for the evidence against column. The fifth topic about rating your mood again. It is time to find out where all this work has gotten you. As part of your thought journal, you identified a painful feeling and rated its intensity on a scale of 0 to 100. Now rate the intensity of that same feeling again to see if it has changed as a result of the evidence you gathered and the new balanced thought you developed. George found that his depression was much less intense after he went through this process, declining from 85 to 30 on the scale of 0 to 100. Most of the remaining depression seemed to be based on a realistic concern about reduced income due to his low December sales. Seeing your mood change can be a strong reinforcement for continuing to work with the thought and evidence journal. As you confront powerful hot thoughts and make positive changes in how you feel. Number 6 topic, record and save alternatives. We encourage you to record what you learn each time you examine the evidence and develop balanced or alternative thoughts. It is helpful to put this information on index cards that you can keep with you and read whenever you wish. On one side of the card, write a description of the problem, situation, and your hot thought. On the other side, write your alternative or balanced thoughts. Over time, you may create a number of these cards. They can be a valuable resource for reminding you of your new, healthier thoughts when upsetting circumstances might cause you to forget them. Seventh topic, practice balanced thoughts. You can use your index cards in a simple exercise that will give you practice with your balanced thoughts. Start by reading the side of the card that describes the triggering situation and your hot thought. Then work at forming a clear visualization of the situation. Picture the scene, see the shapes and colors, and be aware of who is there and what they look like. Hear the voices and other sounds that are part of the scene. Notice the temperature. Notice if you are touching anything and what it feels like. Using all 5 senses, make your scene much more vivid. When the image of the scene is very clear, read your hot thought. Try to focus on it to the point of having an emotional reaction. When you can picture the scenes clearly and feel some of the emotions that go with it, turn the card over and read your balanced thought. Think of the balanced thought while continuing to visualize the scene, and continue to pair the balanced thoughts with the scene until your emotional reaction subsides. George did this exercise by picturing the monthly sales notice while thinking his hot thought, I am a first-class failure. After feeling a small surge of depression, he paired the image of the sales report with the balanced thoughts described earlier. It took several minutes of focusing on the balanced thoughts before his depression started to subside. One of the important things George learned from this exercise was that he could both increase and decrease his depression by focusing on the key thoughts. You can do that too. The 8th topic is about developing an action plan. As with the thoughts journal, you can use the thought and evidence journal to help you develop action plans. Study the evidence against column and look for an item that involves using coping skills or implementing a plan to handle the situation differently. Circle any items that suggest a plan of action. Write 3 specific steps you could take to implement your action plan in the problem situation. George's action plan focused on his decision to think about customer relationships rather than the dollar value of each contract. Here is what he decided to do. For example, send New Year's greetings to all of my regular customers. Number 2, call each customer with a request for feedback about how I and my company could improve service. Number 3, focus on enjoying my customers as people. For example, taking the time to chat instead of pushing quickly for business. Now, a few words about additional tips. The Thought and Evidence Journal is a powerful tool against automatic thoughts, but you need to proceed systematically through all the steps. Here are a few tips to help you overcome some common obstacles to success. Number one, if you have more than one strong heart thought, do a separate thought and evidence journal for each. Number two, if you have difficulty developing alternative interpretations to the hard questions, imagine how a friend or an objective observer might look at the situation. Number three, if you have difficulty identifying exceptions to generalizations made by your hard thought, think of times you have been in the situation without anything negative happening. Perhaps you even experienced something positive. Was there a time when you handled the situation particularly well? Were you ever praised in the situation? Number four, if you have difficulty remembering objective facts to counteract items in the evidence for column, you might ask a friend or family member to help you. Number five, if you have difficulty assessing the odds of a feared outcome, make an estimate of all the times in the last year someone in the country had been in the same situation and how many times the feared catastrophe had occurred. And lastly, if you have difficulty making an action plan, imagine how a very competent friend or acquaintance would handle the same situation. What would he or she do, say or try that might create a different outcome? Using the Thought and Evidence Journal described in this discussion, you can make significant changes in your moods in as little as 1 week. However, it will take from 2 to 12 weeks to consolidate your gains as your new, more balanced thoughts gain strength through repetition. Now let's talk about relaxation. Relaxation training differs from what we normally think of as relaxing. It is more than watching a movie to take your mind off things or going for a long, quiet walk to unwind. When psychologists talk about learning to relax, they are referring to regularly practicing one or more of a group of specific relaxation exercises. These exercises often involve a combination of deep breathing, muscle relaxation, and visualization techniques that have been proven to release the muscular tension that the body stores during time of stress. During your relaxation training sessions, you will discover that racing thoughts start to slow and feeling of fear and anxiety ease considerably. In fact, when your body is completely relaxed, it is impossible to feel fear or anxiety. In what is called the relaxation response, heart rate, breath rate, blood pressure, skeletal muscle tension, metabolic rate, oxygen consumption, and skin electrical conductivity all decrease. On the other hand, alpha brainwave frequency, which is associated with a state of calm, well-being, increases. Every one of these physical conditions is exactly opposite to reactions that anxiety and fear produce in the body. Deep relaxation and anxiety are physiologically opposite. This discussion focuses on highly effective techniques that, when practiced regularly, can bring about deep state of relaxation. Initially, you will want to do your relaxation training in a quiet room where you won't be disturbed. Wear loose, non-binding clothes. At the start of each exercise, assume a comfortable position, either lying down or sitting, in which your body feels well supported. If you wish, you can use white noise, such as white noise machine or the humming of a fan, to cover up sounds that you have no control over. Later, when you are more familiar with these exercises, you can try them in more distracting settings and public places. First of all, we talk about abdominal breathing. One group of muscles that commonly tenses in response to stress are those located in the wall of your abdomen. When your abdominal muscles are tight, they push against your diaphragm as it extends downwards to initiate each breath. This pushing action restricts the amount of air you take in and forces the air you do inhale to remain in the top part of your lungs. If your breathing is high and shallow, you will probably feel as though you're not getting enough oxygen. This is stressful and sets off mental alarms that you are in danger. To make up for the lack of air, instead of relaxing your abdominal muscles and taking deep breaths, you may take quick, shallow breaths. This shallow, rapid breathing can lead you to hyperventilate, one of the prime causes of panic. Abdominal breathing reverses this process by relaxing the muscles that press against your diaphragm and slowing your breath rate. 3 or 4 deep abdominal breaths can be an almost instant relaxer. Abdominal breathing is usually easy to learn. Practice the following exercise for about 10 minutes to acquire this simple but extremely effective skill. Lie down and close your eyes. Take a moment to notice the sensations in your body, particularly where your body is holding any tension. Take several breaths and see what you notice about the quality of your breathing. Where is your breath centered? Are your lungs expanding fully? Does your chest move in and out when you breathe? Does your abdomen do both? Place one hand on your chest and the other hand on your abdomen, right below your waist. As you breathe in, imagine that you are sending your breath as far down into your body as it will go. Feel your lungs expand as they fill up with air. As you do this, the hand on your chest should remain fairly still, and the hand on your abdomen should rise and fall with each breath. If you have difficulty getting the hand on your abdomen to move, or if both hands are moving, try gently pressing down with the hand on your abdomen. As you breathe, direct the air so it pushes up against the pressure of your hand, forcing it to rise. Continue to gently breathe in and out. Let your breath find its own place. If your breathing feels unnatural or forced in any way, just maintain your awareness of that sensation as you breathe in and out. Eventually, any straining or unnaturalness should cease up and ease up by itself. After breathing deeply for several breaths, begin to count each time you exhale. After 10 exhalations, start the count over with 1. When thoughts intrude and you lose track of the number you're in, simply return your attention to the exercise and start counting again from 1. Continue counting your breaths for 10 minutes with some awareness devoted to ensuring that the hand on your abdomen continues to rise with each breath. Progressive muscle relaxation is very important. Progressive muscle relaxation is a relaxation technique that involves tensing and relaxing all the various muscle groups in your body in a specific sequence. The body responds to anxious and fearful thoughts by storing tension in the muscles. This tension can be released by consciously tightening the muscles beyond their normal tension points and then suddenly relaxing them. Repeating this procedure with every muscle group in the body can induce a deep state of relaxation. If you practice progressive muscle relaxation as offered in this discussion, you will experience the physical benefits of the relaxation response. More importantly, if you continue to regularly practice progressive muscle relaxation for several months, the amount of anxiety, anger, or other painful emotions that habitually come up in your life will significantly diminish. A simple regimen of exercises can be effective. These exercises divide the body into 4 major muscle groups: the arms, head, midsection, and legs. Practice the following exercise for about 20 or 30 minutes daily. Whether you feel like it or not, you're developing a skill, the ability to relax. In the beginning, you may find that it takes you a long time to relax, even a little bit. However, as you continue to practice, you will learn to relax more deeply and more rapidly. Let's talk about shorthand muscle relaxation. Although the basic progressive muscle relaxation procedure is an excellent way to relax, it takes so long to go through all the different muscle groups sequentially that it isn't a practical tool for on-the-spot relaxation. To relax your body quickly, you need to learn the following shorthand progressive muscle relaxation method. The key to shorthand progressive muscle relaxation is learning to simultaneously relax the muscles in each of the 4 body areas. You will tense and hold each group for 7 seconds, then allow that entire group of muscles to relax for 20 seconds. As you become more experienced, you may need less time for both tensing and relaxation. Here are the steps for shorthand progressive muscle relaxation. Number 1. Make tight fists while flexing your biceps and forearms. Hold the tension for 7 seconds, then relax for 20 seconds. Number 2. Press your head back as far as you can. Roll it clockwise once in a complete circle, then roll it counterclockwise once. As you do this, wrinkle up your face as though you were trying to make every part of it meet at your nose. Relax. Next, tense your jaw and throat muscles and hunch your shoulders up, then relax. Number 3. Gently arch your back as you take a deep breath. Hold your position, then relax. Take another deep breath, and this time push your abdomen out as you inhale, then relax. Number 4. Point your toes up towards your face while tightening your calf and shin muscles, then relax. Next, curl your toes while tightening your calf, thigh, and buttock muscles, then relax. Few words about relaxation without tension. Within 7 to 14 progressive muscle relaxation practice sessions, you should be good enough at recognizing and releasing tension in your muscles. After that, you may not need to deliberately contract each muscle group before you relax it. Instead, scan your body for attention by running your attention through the 4 areas of the body in sequence. If you find any tightness, simply let go of it, just as you did after each contraction in the progressive muscle relaxation exercises. Stay focused and really feel each sensation. Work with each muscle group until the muscles seem completely relaxed. If you come to an area that feels tight and would not let go, tighten that one muscle or muscle group and then release the tension. This method is even faster than the progressive muscle relaxation shortened procedure. It is also a good way to relax sore muscles that you do not want to aggravate by over tensing. Let's talk about cue controlled relaxation. In cue controlled relaxation, you learn to relax your muscles whenever you want by combining a verbal suggestion with abdominal breathing. First, get in a comfortable position and then release as much tension as you can using the technique for relaxing without tension we just described. Focus on your belly as it moves in and out with each breath, and make your breath slow and rhythmic. With each breath, let yourself become more and more relaxed. Then on every inhalation, say the words breathe in to yourself, and as you exhale, say the word relax. Just keep saying to yourself breathe in, relax, while letting go of tension throughout your body. Continue this practice for 5 minutes, repeating the cue words with each breath. The cue controlled method teaches your body to associate the word relax with the feelings of relaxation. After you have practiced this technique for a while and the association is strong, you will be able to relax your muscles anytime, anywhere, just by mentally repeating breathe in, relax, and releasing any feelings of tightness throughout your body. Cue control relaxation can give you stress relief in less than a minute and is a major component of the treatment plan for anxiety and anger management. Let's talk about visualizing a peaceful scene. Another way to relax is by mentally constructing a peaceful scene that you can enter whenever you feel stressed. Your peaceful scene should be a setting that you find interesting and appealing. It will be a place that will make you feel safe and secure when you imagine it, where you will be able to let your guard down and completely relax. Finding your scene. Take a comfortable position, either sitting or lying down, and for a few minutes practice cue control relaxation. Visualization is most effective when you are completely relaxed, so be sure to take enough time to relax thoroughly. Now simply ask your unconscious to show you your peaceful scene. A picture may start to form in your imagination, or instead of an image, you may mentally hear a word, a phrase or sound that will start to stir an image to life. However it happens, if an image starts to show itself, do not question it. Accept this as a setting that has a restful resonance for you. If a scene does not start to appear to you, choose a place or an activity that appeals to you. Where would you like to be right now? In the country, the woods, or a meadow? On a boat? In a cabin? At the house where you grew up? In a penthouse overlooking Central Park in New York? Once your imagination has settled on a scene, notice what objects you have around you in the scene. See their colors and shapes. What sounds do you hear? What scents are in the air? What are you doing? What physical sensations are you feeling? Try to notice everything about the scene. You may find that parts of your scene remain unclear or hazy. No matter how hard you try to bring them into focus, this is perfectly normal. Do not be disappointed. With practice, you will be able to draw out the details and make your scenes more vivid. Let's talk about visualization skills. Visualization is a skill, like many skills, such as drawing, cabinet making, sewing. Some people are initially more adept at it than others. You may be a person who can sit down and recreate a scene so clearly that you feel like you are actually there, or you might find it difficult to see anything at all. Even if you are not natural at visualization, you can develop this skill with practice. The following guidelines will help you bring your visualization to life. Once an image appears, if there are any gaps in the scene, if one part seems hazy or void of any image at all, put all your concentration on that area and ask, what is it? Hold your attention on that area and see if it starts to clear. Even if the image is fuzzy or blank, watch whatever appears in your imagination as intently as you can. Often, two or more methods can be combined to deepen your sense of relaxation. For instance, you can visualize a peaceful scene while practicing deep breathing. Abdominal breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, and relaxation without tension should be learned in sequence. In general, you can experience the benefits of deep relaxation using any of these methods within a session or two.